Oh, welcome to the webinar. As you probably know, my name's Walter Peters, wrote the book Naked Forex, and recently I've been spending a lot of time in the forum. We want to welcome a new trader who's come into the live trade section of the forum, Adam. And Adam's going to share a lot of his trading strategies, currency indices. He's got a boatload of psychology stuff as well. So if you're in the forum or you're thinking about joining the forum, just know that not only have you got my videos and trades, Darren's and Jorge's. Jorge's more of a trend trader. Darren's contrarian trader. I like trading naked. And then we've got Adam, who's a real mix of things. And although he does some scalping, he's also got some what I would call scalping. He's also got some interesting other ideas as well that he's tweaked. So I would, if you're a member of the forum, definitely take a look at Adam's stuff. All of these 8-hour trades that I'm talking about today and the specific setups that I'm talking about this month, all throughout the month of May, I'm going to be posting these on my thread. So it's 8-hour May. May is the 8-hour month. Orfeo, you're funny. Okay, so let's talk about what this is all about. First of all, I like to find out where everyone is from. So can you please just type into the chat box the city that you are in? And if it's kind of a smaller city, maybe the country as well. Just curious to see. I know a couple of people are in Eastern Europe. Sunnyvale, Providence, Chicago, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Seattle, Toronto, Long Beach, Pittsburgh, Florida, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Houston, Auckland, Chicago, Bangkok, Germany, Dallas, Sydney, Adelaide, Minneapolis, Huntington Beach. I know it well. Jakarta, Lisbon, beautiful. York County, Pennsylvania, Warsaw, Minneapolis, Seattle. Wow, well, welcome, Ahmed. Hobart, cool. London, oh, that's Graham, of course. London, Canada, San Antone, Mooloolaba, welcome, Kel. Lucinda, Queensland, Gold Coast, Malaysia, Melbourne, Gold Coast. So a lot of Australians, actually. Okay, interesting. That's great. And Seattle right now, but from Texas. Okay, cool. Well, thanks a lot. I know it was so fast. Thanks, Tom. Florida, Nigeria, and it's 1 a.m., Jeremy. Well, we better get started. Okay. So let me talk about the whole idea here. And you will also get a video on how to get these 8-hour charts. I don't really want to talk about this system in terms of, this is how you get 8-hour charts on your Metatrader. I know a lot of you kind of probably already know how to do that. Some of you may not, and that's okay. But you will get a video on how to do that, how to get the indicator and how to do that. It's not that difficult. Everyone who is, it's always worth being here, says Jeremy. That's great. Thanks, Jeremy. That's really kind of you. So you will get the indicator and the process for doing that. If you're in the forum, obviously you can just search that in the forum and it'll come up for you. But the main point I want to show you is that 8-hour charts are pretty cool for a number of reasons. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to trade them. Doesn't mean it's the only way to trade them, of course. It's like any other chart. You can do whatever you want. But for me, this is a really cool way to do it. So let me show you kind of how I'm approaching this month. Okay, so what I'm looking for here when I find a chart is a chart that has a clear downtrend. And the way that I define these downtrends is as follows. I'm looking for the market to give me a clear trend candle followed by a retracement. Then a clear trend candle. And then, you guessed it, another retracement. And then a clear trend candle or 2 or 3. And then a retracement. And then again, retracement, again, retracement. So what we have here is the market's done its thing. It's moved lower and it's made a bit of a retracement here. If you back it up, what you'll notice is this is actually a pretty important area of support and resistance from historically, right? So that's kind of why it's getting hung up here. If you look on the daily chart, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I can show you quickly while we're here. It's this. This right here, this area comes back from December You could see November. So this is an area where it hit and it retraced, it hit and it retraced, and now it's finding a bit of support there. So that's what's going on there. No big deal, right? But what I'm trying to do here on these 8-hour charts is I'm trying to get in on the trend. So I'm waiting for the market to print these consolidation areas. And then there's two ways to get in. One is I can go ahead and wait for the market to push through the consolidation like it did here and see how the market did this big giant bearish candle, and it engulfed almost all the candles in consolidation, all of them except for this one. This one actually has a slightly lower low. It closed below all those closes. The lowest close was also this candle. And so you can put a sell order below this candle, stop loss above the candle, and just go like that. Now, what I've been doing is, and I've been blasted a few times waiting for this, but it will eventually go, I believe. And so I don't have a problem taking trades and getting stopped out when I know that the trend is at my back. And this move here is not a counter trend move. This is definitely, in other words, this does not look like the beginning of an uptrend at all. It looks much more like all of these other retracements here. And I know I didn't put a box around all of them, but I'm sure you can see them yourself. So all of these retracements here are very similar to the one that we're in right now. Now, whether or not you consider the one that we're in right now to be a part of, in other words, does it extend all the way over here? Or do you consider this little red candle to be a trend candle? It doesn't really matter. The point is, at some point, this retracement is going to be over, and it's going to be time for it to go south again, and that's when I want to sell. So when I saw a little kangaroo tail here, but the market never traded lower. So the way that I do this is I wait for the the end of the retracement candle to show up, which can come in a number of different ways. I'm going to show you another way that you can do this without waiting for that retracement candle in a moment. But for right now, what I'm looking for is the market to drift up. Now, how do I know it's in retracement? When it's in trend, the candles are huge and they close at the extremes. Notice how all these candles close near the low, closes near the low, closes near the low, closes near the low, and so forth. These are trend candles. I'll mark all these trend candles here. There's one, there's obviously another one, there's obviously another one, and there's obviously another one right there. So those are all keys that this is a downtrend. And then the boxes here are obviously smaller candles. They often get very wicky, like these candles have been getting wicky. And they'll often sometimes alternate between blue, red, red, blue, blue, red. So they kind of just go back and forth and up and a down and up and a down. They're sort of directionless. There isn't really much juice behind it. So that's really what this is all about. It's about waiting for the trend candles to come, then the consolidation, and you wait for an exhaustion. Now, we've had a few. I had one yesterday, which actually stopped me out, which was this candle right here. It triggered lower, and then it went up and made a higher high and took out the stop. So that was a bit of a bummer. This one here didn't stop me out because I had an order down here below the low, and the market never pushed through that sell stop. That's the beauty of using a sell stop. If you use a sell stop, the market's only going to trigger you in the trade if it starts going in the direction you think it's going to go, because it has to make a new low to get me in that trade. If you use a retracement entry, then this would have been a loser as well. So I avoided one loser this week on this trade, on this pair, and then I'm in on another one. Would you set an alarm with a close past the range, with a close past the range? You can do that. You can do that. Does everyone know about FX Alert or Alert? I think it's Alert FX. Let me double check. You could do that if you want. Or I'm sure there's like Metatrader plugins and stuff like that. I don't do that, Joe. I'll show you how the other way to do it. Here's Alert FX. If you guys don't know about Alert FX, it's a pretty cool tool. Eduardo, we mentioned this earlier at the beginning of the webinar. Everyone here is going to get the, if you're in the forum, obviously you can just search 8-hour charts and you can get the video and the indicator. But everyone here who's watching this recording or is here live, you will get the how to get 8-hour charts thing in here. I've got a video and I've actually got the indicator. I think it's under trading tools in the forum, but everyone here will get it. Here it is, trading tools, I think. How to get 8-hour charts on Metatrader. So I'll give you guys this video right here and how to install an indicator if you don't know how to do that. Okay, and I'll actually give you the indicator as well. It's pretty simple stuff, actually. Okay, cool. All right, so hey Walter, thanks for your help the other day. Would you risk 1R or less on this tight stop? Oh, it's one. It's one. Yeah. I mean, I'll show you one, Kel. Good question, Kel. I'll show you one that I took that was also a loser. So I'm using 1R on these, right? But I did get out with a little less than 1R on this one. Let's see here. This was a sell. Okay, so this one was one the other day where I sold at 79.60. Stop loss was 80.48. It was this bearish candle right here because I thought it was just a retest. Turned out I was still in consolidation. It finally broke here, and then it came back up. What I should have, in hindsight, being what it is, it was retracing on a Monday, so I wasn't that concerned about it. I should have moved my stop to break even here, and I would have been hit at break even here on Monday. But instead, I wanted to give it a little bit more room to retrace, and then it started marching towards my stop. So I actually got out before it hit my stop, and I lost 0.6 on that one. I think it was 0.68 R. But I don't mind taking the full R. That was just my mistake, right? I really should have moved to break even once it went, because it already went 1 R in my favor. It went exactly 1 R in my favor. I should have moved my stop to break even at that stage, but I didn't. So that's fine. 1 R is basically it. Walter, I think the Aussie is on a strong support zone, the daily and weekly art. Do you take this into account? Yeah, I mentioned that, Ezio. Yeah, I like to go break even at 1 R typically. These trades, I don't want them to be 1 R. The one that I'll show you right here on the pound Aussie, this has been as high as 1 R. So this is a big bullish. The stop's all the way down here. It's a big stop, and the buy was back here. So it's up, but it's but the thing about this one is it's been consolidating for a while, and we're waiting for a blast upwards, another big bullish candle like we've seen before. Again, same thing going on here. Consolidation, trend candle. What do the trend candles look like? They're massive and they close near the high. That's what a bullish trend looks like. So all we're doing right now is we're consolidating, and I'm going to put an order in most likely above these highs here, right around 90. I think it's 97.50, is it? Right around 97.47 or so that when it does blast higher, it'll click me in. That's the other way you can do this. You don't have to wait for the actual last retracement candle if you're trying to pinpoint the last retracement candle. Sometimes that's a bit difficult, like here, because they're all so choppy and so tiny, and you don't really have anything to hang your hat on. Now, if I were to get a long-tailed kangaroo tail here, then that would be a trendy kangaroo tail, and that would be a nice and easy way to get in. But failing that, I think putting an order above this high makes perfect sense. So there's two entries here, guys, just to be clear. One is you put your order above or below the consolidation area so that when the market goes in, it clicks you in. That's risky because, of course, it could spike into there and then pull right back into the box again. But in that case, I would just hold it and see what happens. If the trend is to continue, it will eventually go higher, right? The other alternative is to do what I'm doing on the Aussie, which is a little bit different. And with the Aussie, again, what I'm looking for here is to get in on that last candle. You have to refresh these because they're, quote, offline charts. So you have to refresh these. But basically, what I'm saying here is that this is the ultimate end of this upwards retracement. What you'll notice is the difference between the pound Aussie retracement and consolidation versus the Aussie consolidation is that the Aussie is drifting up slowly and printing these little kangaroo tails, which one of these is going to be the end of the road, right? Whereas the pound Aussie is kind of like a consolidation like this one over here. It's very choppy. It's up and down. And they're all really tiny candles. It doesn't give you anything to hang your hat on. It's a little bit easier to take these end of retracement candles when they go, quote, against the trend. Like this is going up. This is a little tiny up move. If you look at the line chart, you'll see what I'm saying. It's the market's been going down, and this is a nice drift upwards. So that's a sign that you might be able to hang your hat on one of these candles. Might take a couple cracks at it before you get it, but this is the way to do it if you want to get a tight stop. If you want to have a big fat stop like the pound Aussie, and again, I'll probably put an order in today on this one, then the stop's going to go below the consolidation, which in this case is going to be this candle. It's got the candle low, or the low of the consolidation. That's at 95.28. And the order is going to be up here, right around, I think it's 47 or so, 97.47. So a few pips above that high, and I think the high is actually that candle there at 97.37. So yeah, 10 pips higher would be 97.47. Does that make sense? All charts have gone off. Can everyone see my chart? Can you see my chart? Yep. Okay, cool. Jeremy, it might be your internet. Okay, it may be your internet, Jeremy. Sorry about that. So Eduardo, you will get the video and the indicator so that you can put 8-hour charts on there. Walter, I think the Aussie is on strong support, says Ezio. It absolutely is Ezio, but I think it will crack it. I think this is going to crack it. Essentially what I'm doing here so there's a couple of charts that I like, okay? I think that the pound Aussie is obviously in a strong trend. I also think that the Aussie is in a strong trend. I think that the Aussie yen was in one, but maybe me rethinking that because the consolidation that we're at right now is where we were at before. So we had big trending candles, consolidation, trend, consolidation, trend, consolidation, trend, and then guess what? It's popped back up to where it was consolidating before. So this could be kind of a reverse head and shoulders or something like that. I don't really know what's going on there, and I'm not going to really hazard a guess. I'd rather just trade stronger trending charts rather than trying to play that one. The other one that's interesting, it's kind of early days, is the loonie, the Canadian dollar. Strong trending candles, retracement. Strong trending, retracement. It really, to me, needs to clear this high here, which is about the same as the high over here, before I would consider it a trend. So I'm not going to take any trend trades. I am going to take the weekly big shadow that you have here on your Canadian dollar. This is so the order in here is for that. So I'm waiting on that big shadow to trigger at 1.3021, targeting 33.30, 38.20, and 4,600. We're not here to talk about weekly chart trades. We're here to talk about the 8-hour ones. So really, that's how it works. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them my way. I'll show you one more 8-hour chart because this is the Aussie Singapore. It's on another screen here, but let me pull it up so you can see a very, very similar here. Okay, so what I'm going to do with here is with this one is exactly what we talked about before. We had a sell trade. Let me zoom in so it's a little bit easier to see, but we had a sell trade right here. I had a signal last night on, I believe it was, yeah, this one. It was this one right here. And so I tried to sell it. Now, the low here is at 1.0056. And the low that it made the subsequent candle was 1.0053. My orders are always in blue. So I had to sell 6 pips lower at 1.0050. So I actually missed out on getting clicked in here. So this was a no trade. And again, the sell stop saved me because it would have spiked up, as you see here, and hit my stop loss. However, now what do we have? Well, we have a pretty good setup. So I can shift my order to this candle. It's already traded lower, but what I'm going to do with this one on the Aussie Singapore is I'm going to place my order below the low of today's Asian candle, which is at 1.0049. So 1.0043 will be the order. In fact, I'll change it right now. 1.0043 will be the order. And the stop loss is going to be up here at 1.0. Hold on. It's going to be here above the high here at 101.06. So we'll call that 101.08. Okay? So 101.08. So that's basically 65 pips of risk. So the sell order's at 100.43 and the stop loss at 101.08. Now, you might be wondering, what about targets? I really want to, what I'm really wanting to do with these trades is stack them. Take several of them and hold on to them for as long as I can. If the market starts to make a move like the Aussie yen, then I might start pulling them off the table, right? Because that, to me, the Aussie yen, because it's consolidating where it consolidated before, it's starting to either get to a point where it's either going directionless or it might even be going up. So that would be the kind of, so as long as it keeps going down, consolidate, down, consolidate, down, consolidate, I'll keep shorting it and keep adding positions. Same thing with the pound Aussie. As long as it keeps going up, consolidating, and so forth, I'll keep adding. But in terms of, targets, it's really more of an open target. You could go 3-to-1, reward risk ratio, lots of different ways to do it. But these trades are really meant to make a lot when they do cash out. A lot of them are going to be stopped out, but the few that do well, you could hook into one trend this month and wipe out all the little losers that didn't work out on the other pairs, right? Okay, so let's see if we get any questions here. Okay. Bank of England news tonight could create volatility. Will you wait? No. I hope that it does. That'll probably be the thing that skyrockets the pound Aussie up, I'm hoping, Graham. Will you put that order on Friday and Monday? Yeah, I can. I mean, the important thing to keep in mind here is context. It's a really good question. So let's say that on a Friday candle, we get an 8-hour... let's say that this little red candle printed on a Friday, okay? To me, that's cool, right? What I don't want to see on a Friday or a Monday is a trend candle. So getting back to the pound Aussie, I'll pull up a pound Aussie chart on this one just because it's easier to have them both here. But let me show you something. With the pound Aussie, it's not going to be a 4-hour chart, is it? It's not going to be an 8-hour chart. Sorry, I'll go over to the other charts. I don't like doing that because I know it takes a moment for it to show up on your screen. Why not just use the daily chart? Good question. The reason why I like the daily chart, or the reason why I would use the 8-hour chart, is if I wanted more trades. You will probably see depending on where you live, you'll see 2 out of 3, or maybe even all 3 candles, or depending on how much you sleep. So it's the same reason why people trade the 4-hour charts. They want more opportunities, right? I am happy trading the weekly and daily charts, but I thought this month I would offer 8-hour because a lot of people don't trade them. They don't know how to get them on their Metatrader. They don't know how to trade them or whatever. And I know a lot of people here have jobs, and if you have a job, daily and weekly is the way to go. But I think 8-hour is pretty manageable as well, especially because you're probably going to see an 8-hour candle sometime in the morning. There may be one during the middle of the day, which you may or may not be able to see if you have a job. And then there'll be one at night, which will be either late at night or when you're sleeping, again, depending on where you are. So essentially, it's really about managing your trades around your lifestyle, I guess. As far as the news and about this idea about trading on a Friday and a Monday that Kel brought up, I want to finish this thought. See, Kel, if this bullish explosion happened on a Friday, that would be a little bit more concerning than if I saw a retracement candle on a Friday or a Monday. It's the same reason why earlier in this week, when I was posting my video on Monday and I was talking about the Aussie dollar on the daily, I said, it's interesting that the Aussie dollar went down on Monday, because that's the fact that the Aussie dollar went down on Monday, which was what? It's this candle, right? That's Friday's candle. It's this candle right here that I've marked with the red line. It went down. So that suggests that this may be a retracement happening this week because Monday went down. So I guess the answer is, Kel, if you have a trend candle on a Monday or a Friday, beware. But if you have a retracement candle, an end of an exhaustion, an end of a consolidation candle, and that prints on a Friday or a Monday, that would actually be quite good. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's still keeping in with the rhythm. And by the way, somebody was posting the numbers on, I think it was on Martin's, let me show you. I think it was Martin's journal here. Let me see. Someone had done all the math. I think it was on gold. And I just want to show you this because a lot of people wonder about this. And I just want to share. Here you go. So it was Steve. Okay, so Steve did this awesome thing for Martin. He did 4-hour candles from 2005 to 2016. The high and the low of the day. Clearly, most highs and lows of the day are made on the 1600 candle, right? So this is where the high occurs on the 4-hour candles, and this is where the low occurs, right? He also looked at when did the high of the week occur, Monday through Friday, and the low of the week occur, right? So it's really interesting to me that you see the high of the week consolidating. I mean, this focuses in on Fridays and Mondays, just like we talked about. Usually the middle of if you think of the week as a weekly candle, the tips of the week, the tippy tips of the week are likely to happen on Monday and Friday. Same thing here with the low. Low of the week is likely to happen on Monday or Friday. This is kind of what you were talking about, Kel, and this is what I talk about every single week. But there are several people have looked at these data, and this is just for gold, and I just wanted to point this out, okay? All right, cool. No problems. All right, let's keep going here. There's more questions. Will you put that one on Friday? Okay, yep. Reverse head and shoulders, says Robert. Yeah, the reverse head and shoulders could be on the Aussie yen. I'm not sure. It's not clear. I guess you would have to have a neckline somewhere around here or something, but there is a potential reverse head and shoulders on that one. I don't know if that's the pair you were talking about. Hey, Walter, what are the characteristics of 8-hour candles that make them so different and special? Just that you get more of them than daily candles, and that if you have a job, they're pretty easy to manage. That's it. That's it, Alan. Nothing magical about them. They kind of map onto each session, but not really, because the first candle of the day starts during the interbank period, which is not really a trading period. It isn't until a couple hours later, 2 hours later, that Tokyo kicks in. So the first 8-hour candle includes the interbank period, and then finally Asia when Tokyo kicks in. Auckland and Sydney do not count as the Asian session. Like, there's not enough volume, right? The volume is really, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore. Those are the trading centers. So Tokyo kind of kicks off the Asian market. So it's not that they perfectly map onto each session. And obviously there's overlap between New York and London anyway. But the reason why they're useful is because they're very, as you can see, they're quite clean and crisp. They're not as, like, for example, let me just show you an example. Take the Aussie yen 8-hour chart and put it side by side to the Aussie yen 4-hour chart and see if you can pick out the difference. I like smooth charts. Now, the New Zealand dollar is not very smooth right now, but it used to be for years and years, especially back in 2004, 2003, 2005. It was just the smoothest thing ever. So I really liked that pair. Now, what I want to show you here is that you're basically seeing the same moves that you see here on the 8-hour and the 4-hour. It's just there's a little bit more chop to the 4-hour. There's a little bit more get up and go. And the 8-hour has got that same kind of almost, and the markets go through phases, but it's got that really nice smooth look to it, like a daily chart. And that's why I really like it. If you have a job and you can't sit around and trade the 1-hour charts, the 8-hour charts are an option. If you don't want to trade the dailies, you want to have more trades, you have three potential trades every day, 3 times of the day. the first candle, the middle of the day candle, and then the night candle. And you just don't get that with weekly or daily chart trades. So that's it. Hopefully that makes sense, Alan. Just being okay with losing last one in the series. Yeah, you have to be okay with whenever the end of the trend comes, it's going to collapse. There are some clues there too as well, Joe. Usually there'll be a massive bearish candle if you're in a bullish trend or whatever. I like 8-hour candles because they seem to respect zones more, says Steve. Oh, Steve's the guy that posted the data for Martin, right? That was you, Steve. Cool. Yep. How many consolidation areas are you looking for before starting to trade? Great question. And let me actually tackle that one, Ahmed, because that one should be covered for sure. Let's get into that. So it's not really the number of consolidations so much as whether it's made a new high or a new low. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, let me go into the pound Aussie is probably the best example of this. So it's pretty clear. So down here, it looks like it's going down, but it's really choppy. I wouldn't really want to trade this downtrend. The retracements are too deep. I don't really like them. It's not clean and crisp like the ones that I've shown you before. But at this stage, as it goes up here, you start thinking, oh, well, is this the start of an uptrend or what's going on? Now, I would really want it to take out these highs over here before I start saying, okay, we're in an uptrend. So basically, when this candle prints, now we might be in an uptrend. Look how bullish, retracement, bullish. And so I'm looking for these swing highs. Let me give you an even better example, actually, which is the Canadian dollar 8-hour chart. See how the Canadian dollar is very similar to the pound Aussie, only it's retraced a little bit deeper. So it made these really bullish moves, retrace, bullish move, retrace. What we want to do here is we want to wait for the market to take out this high over here. Once it takes out this high, it's been making higher lows. So if this ends up being the swing low here, then that's going to be a higher low than the previous low here. And if this eventually takes out this high over here, it's going to take out that high. It's going to be making higher highs as well. So it's just simple as that. Simple as higher highs and lower lows. Higher highs and higher lows. Sorry. Higher highs and higher lows for an uptrend. Trisha, I will give you the video. Everyone here, when I send the link out to the recording, I know most of you are watching the recording right now, but below this recording video, you will get the video on how to install the 8-hour charts. You can actually do the 3-hour charts, the 4-hour charts, or sorry, the 5-hour charts, the 6-hour charts. You can do whatever you want. The 90-minute charts. Okay. For trading 8-hour, which support and resistance do you use? Daily or weekly? Daily. Yeah, daily. So hopefully that makes sense, Ahmed, in terms of it's not really the number of consolidations, it's how clean they are and crisp. So I don't like trading really dirty trends like this one's just too choppy and yucky. This pound Aussie going down. But the pound Aussie going up, now that's the kind of trend I'm looking for. What setup ends this way of trading? Like a bearish big shadow on the weekly or something like that. It's pretty typical. Maybe a giant bearish big shadow on the daily. That would be a pretty good sign. If you're going long pound Aussie here, and then you get a weekly or a daily bearish big shadow or a bearish kangaroo tail, that might be a clue. Walter, I've come from a little late, and I want to know if I will see the recording of the webinar and how indicator from MT4. I will not go to the website, or will I go to the website and download it from there? Can you show me a link, please? Yeah, sure. So, there is a video on how to do this. It's on the blog, but again, it's also below this recording for those of you watching the recording. So if you go to fxjake.com/blog right here. I don't know if it's going to load here or what. Or you can just go below this, the recording. Everyone who goes here, everyone who's here is going to get the indicator video. So go down here to the bottom of the blog. and click on how to trade the 8-hour charts for Metatrader. Okay? fxjake.com/blog. That's the most recent video. There it is. Okay? There's a one on Forex Factory. Yeah, you can get all that stuff. The indicator and everything is there. Sorry, I came in late. Not sure how to get 8 hours. So that helps Trisha as well. For trading hour, what support resistance used daily? The video on Forex Factory. Yes, I'm sure there are plenty of videos out there. In the forum at Naked Forex now, you get a video, you get the indicator, all that stuff is available too. Okay. Are there any more questions about this? Does this make sense? It's pretty simple. It sounds really simple. The difficulties or the weak spots with this will be if you're in a trend and you keep trying to get that end of retracement candle and you keep getting stopped out, that can be painful. So sometimes people won't follow up with that and they'll quit, and they'll usually quit at the exact worst time, because then the trend will re-engage, right? So that's a weak spot for this. The other one would be just being impatient and trying to stack too many orders, because sometimes you'll get some orders triggered when you're still in consolidation. That actually happened to me on the Aussie yen. So that's another one that happens. What else? It's not really. Here's the how to create the 8-hour charts in Metatrader and how to install the indicator and all that. So this works better for higher time frames. Well, the problem, Chris, great question, Chris. The problem with trading the lower time frames, Chris, is that eventually there's going to be a retracement and you may be asleep when it happens. So that's the real issue. If you're trading, for example, see, here's the pound Aussie 1 hour. If you're trading the trend on the 1 hour, eventually this is what's going to happen. It's going to do this big, huge collapse, and it's going to, it's going to be tough to handle. So I guess you could do it on the lower time frames if you want, but you might want to set some sort of trailing exit or automated exit to make sure that if you're not flat when you walk away from the computer, in other words, if you don't close all your positions when you walk away from the computer, you have a way of getting out, because they eventually are going to collapse. Whereas if you're watching the 8 hour, because it's unfolding in slow motion like the dailies or the weeklies, you have time to adjust. That's the big advantage. You're not activating the drug area, the addiction area of your brain when you're doing higher time frame trading. So things happen in slow motion. You can plan them. You can react accordingly. You don't have to freak out like you do when you're trading the 1 minute or the 500 tick chart or whatever. Do you find better results with breakout or retracement? Well, it depends on what you're talking about, Joe. The breakout entry is going to give you, generally it's going to have a wider stop, but a higher success rate. Whereas the retracement entry, the end of retracement entry, you're going to get more losers, but you have a tighter stop. So it's an either or, right? Walter, I need to talk to you regarding member account issue. Could I get your email, please? Sure, Ian. Just email me. What's wrong with your account? What's going on with your account, Ian? Let me know. What size stop do you use when trying to capture the retracement candle? It's the size of the candle. It's the size of the candle. So, for example, on the Aussie, it would be the size of the candle. So the stop loss would be at 73.92 above this little wiki candle here. I don't think it's quite a kangaroo tail. It might be. It doesn't really matter. The point is, this could be the end of this up move here. And then the sell stop is down here at 73.38. Okay? Yes, FXCM does have 8-hour charts. So does IntelliCharts, several others. I don't know if you can get it on Ninja. You might be able to get on Ninja too, I think. I can't remember. Certainly can get them on TradeStation. How do you sign up for Naked Forex now? Sign up link is not working. Oh. Okay, well, that's weird. I'll send you the link, okay? You just go to nakedforexnow.com and then the button will pop up below the video. It should. Also, yeah. Yes, on Ninja, Trade Interceptor is great on the Mac and has an 8 hour, says Joe. Cool. So better reward to risk ratio with retracement after a decent sample set. Yeah. So Joe, so just to be clear here, so let me give you a few data points here. This one right here. This was a retracement candle, but it didn't trigger because I use a sell stop below the candle low. So this would have been stopped out had I taken the trade, but because I didn't take it because it never went lower. That's why I like sell stops and buy stops. I want the market to go in my direction before I get in the trade. A lot of people don't like that, but I like that it reduces my losers. So that one didn't work out, right? So there's one. Next one, this one I did take yesterday, and this one got triggered, as you see here. It did trade lower, and then it stopped me out. Okay, now I've got another one. So these are the sorts of things this is what's going to happen. I mean, I'm trying to click into a trade with a really tight stop here. Now, if I use the breakthrough method, first of all, I know that there's a support and resistance zone right here. I know that for a fact. So that's kind of tricky. But beyond that, the stop loss would be as wide as the box in essence, which is going to be 120 pips or something like that. So the stop's about half the size that it would be, but I know that I'm not always going to perfectly nail the reversal candle, right? It just doesn't happen. You're going to be closer to 55% most likely, if you take it like this. That's the thing. Does that make sense? No problem, Joe. No problem. So that's the trade. The trade-off is your reward to risk is not quite as good with the sell below the zone. But you can see here, a sell below the zone would have been triggered here, here, and look what happened. You would have retraced quite a bit. If you had taken a sell below the box here, it would have retraced all the way up this much. Look at that long wick. That's pretty scary for some. So, okay. All right. Are there any other questions, guys, before we shut it down? I can give you the link to the forum. These are not FXJ textbook kangaroo tails in the consolidation. No, they're not. And that's a really good question, Graham. Mine's not working either. Okay. All right, here. I'll just give you guys the... All right, so the question is, Graham says, these aren't textbook kangaroo tails. You're right. We're not really trading these as kangaroo tails. We already know that we want to sell, right? Because the direction is down. We already know it's in a downtrend. What I'm really trying to do here is find a candle that looks like it's the penultimate peak of the counter trend up move. And that's usually going to be a wicky candle like one of these. Sometimes it's not. Let me give you another example. The other one that we did was that I took was the Aussie yen. Now, what I thought with the Aussie yen was going on here, I'll show you. What I thought happened with the Aussie yen was this. So the market was going down, retrace, and then it printed this big bearish candle. So I thought that this big bearish candle here was really the end of the retracement move, and that it was going to start going lower. So that's what that was. Now, that didn't quite work out either, right? So what happened here was, instead... well, I'll show you here. I'll hit the F12 key and advance my chart. It finally went here, right? And went through the floor here. So there was an order here. It went up a bit, kept consolidating. Finally, it fell through. So what I thought was kind of a retracement candle entry. This isn't a big shadow, by the way, right? It's not. It's not a big shadow. It doesn't have a higher high. So it's not the candle doesn't have to be perfect. It's because I've already know I want to sell, right? I'm just trying to see where is the end of that retracement. So what's ultimately a retracement entry turned into a breakout entry because this candle pushed through, right? So there you go. More questions coming through here. had sort of emergency will it be recorded. Yeah, you'll get a link to the recording, no doubt. What else? What else is going on here? More questions coming through. Hold on, there's so many questions coming through. I'm gonna get to them. I'm gonna send out the link for you guys now too. Okay, so this is the link for the forum is right here. If you're not a member, I know most of you are obviously members. The link is right here. Naked Forex private. There it is. Okay, there's the link, guys. I just put it in the chat box. Okay. Can you identify a textbook kangaroo tail and a couple of acceptable kangaroo tails? So we have a range, please. Sure. So this right here is an example of a bend trade. So what this entry was here was a bend trade, right? That was not a bearish big shadow. So that's an example of, this was not a textbook. All I thought that was going on here, and really I only had this much data, right? This is how much data I made when I placed my order. The market was going down hard. It retraced once. It cleared out through this low. It was clearly making little soft retracements and then falling, soft retracements and falling really hard. And so when it did this, I thought, okay, yeah, all right, we're in now. We're going for it. Let's do it. But what turned out to be the case was that it didn't really want to clear that low, and instead it consolidated for a few candles before finally just blasting through it and triggering it. So that's one example. Really, any of these trending charts, to me, that was an acceptable one. It didn't trigger, of course, because it didn't break through the low. That was an acceptable one. This is an acceptable one. The reason why I'm looking for a retracement entry on this retracement is because the market's slowly drifting up. If it were jumping around like this, I wouldn't be doing that. There was no reason for me to do that, because if it's jumping around up and down, I know that any sort of candle that I think is the end is probably going to get stopped out. Like if I had thought that this was it, this bearish candle, I get stopped out over here, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. I want a slow drift up to take these retracement candles. Otherwise, if it's boxing around like it is on the pound Aussie, I would just use a breakout entry. Does that make sense? So this is a box right here. I'm not going to take any sort of, the only reason why the pound Aussie would give me a retracement entry is if it gave a huge long-tailed kangaroo tail here, which would be a trendy kangaroo tail. And that low of that kangaroo tail was lower than these lows over here. That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and put an order above the high here with this blue line, this thin, I don't know if you can see that thin blue line. I'll make it a little thicker. That's kind of the spot, right? A few pips above that high. 10 pips above that high. Vulture, what would you say about home running the 8-hour charts? Looking for your entry in the Asia, after Asia on the 1 hour. Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Why do you use closes sometimes to place your orders and stops and high lows the other times? I use the closes for the zones, and I use the highs and the lows for the entries. Thanks. Got to go. Have a good day. See you, Chris. Didn't you always wait for consolidation boxes to break out and then wait for the last kiss before entering trade? Why do you trade differently here? Okay, great question, Graham. So the reason why with the last kiss that you wait for a consolidation and a breakout, I just did a video on the last kiss, and we'll upload that to the forum this weekend. But essentially, the last kiss doesn't necessarily have a trend. These trades have a trend. The advantage of trading with a trend is you know where you want to go, okay? When you're trading a last kiss, you have no idea if you're going to get a bullish or a bearish last kiss. So the confirmation is critical. But if you're trading a system with the trend, such as the Acapulco trade or this 8-hour trend trade system, then really all you're doing is you're saying, look, I know I want to buy the pound Aussie. The question is where? And the answer is, well, if it drifts slowly lower and then gives me a nice reversal candle, I'll get in on that. Otherwise, I can just wait for it to break through that that consolidation box. So a breakout in case it gets missed, but if you catch it backing off, you push your order into the retracement. Yeah, so this retracement right here on the pound Aussie is a flat retracement. It's a box. It's a step. It's like the old Darvis box, right? If you've read the Nicholas Darvis book. So that's a box. There really is no reason for me to try and think that I can catch a falling knife here, right? There are too many tricky candles. It's going up, down, it's bouncing around. Again, the caveat would be, okay, let's say that we get a really nice long-tailed bullish kangaroo tail right here, then maybe I'll try that. But otherwise, as long as it sits in this box and keeps doing what it's doing, I'm going to wait for it to trade higher. That's my clue that I want to go long. Now, on the other hand, if you get a really lovely counter trend move, like we saw on the Aussie Singapore, for instance, then I can say, all right, that makes a lot of sense. I'll go ahead and get in on this 8-hour Aussie Singapore retracement. And I'll refresh this so it's clean. So I'm going to go ahead and get in on this little one right here, this bearish candle right here that made the high. That's the high of the retracement. Perhaps that's the end of it. I'll put my order down there below the low. The low is at 1.0049, so 6 pips lower is 1.0043. Stop loss is up there above the high. This seems to be, it potentially could be the high of the retracement move here. Is it still going down? Well, I think it is. And eventually what I want to do is just take that swing high point and ride it out. Cool. Cool. All right, great. All right, thanks a lot, guys, for all of your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Thanks, guys. And if you need the link, there's the link to the it's Naked Forex Private. Yeah, HTTP. Yeah, if you're interested in joining us. Right there. Boom. Thanks. Cool. Appreciate your time too. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks to those of you watching the recording. I wish you very happy trading and I hope to see you in the forum soon. Take care, Enrico. See you, Graham. Thanks a lot, Graham. Thanks, Derek. See you, Ian, Kevin, Leonard, Steve, Chris, Lawton, Joe. Take care. Glad you like it, Michael. Bye, Ted. See ya. Bye, Devin. Take care. Bye.